Bill's World. What's going on? It's Justice and Muki here, and we're here to talk about Bills season ended, but even more stuff has happened since that's happened. So I mean, we can get into the Bills, the Bills Broncos, the firing of Sean McDermott, the press conference. There's a lot to get through tonight, Mook. It all starts with the Bills Broncos and what happened in that game. Um, First of all, I want to ask you a question, Coach. Do you think that the Bills had a roster that was good enough to win a championship this year? You muted.
I think so. I mean, other than having a self-proclaimed number one wide receiver, I still think that this roster was good enough to win. I mean, if you take away the injuries, I mean, when you look at it, especially going into that game, um, you know, they had some injuries in the secondary and the receiving core. Two things that played a pivotal part in the divisional playoff. So yeah, I think they had a good enough team, to win. I mean, pending the everybody want to keep screaming the narrative of since there was no Burrow or Mahomes or Jackson in the playoffs that stood in Josh Allen's way, why not? I mean, can't make excuses now. It just, that game right there could have went either way. And just fortunate for the Bills, crucial mistakes at bad times for probably the sixth or seventh time with in the Sean McDermott era. So, I don't know what's the end result of that at this point. So, yeah.
All right. Ultimately, I mean, it's inconsequential now, but ultimately, I do want to know: do you think it was a catch?
Yes, it was a catch. Like that, I just don't understand why that was even. You know what I do? And I said it. I said it before. Like it's just like Oscar De La Hoya, right? He's fighting Floyd Mayweather or whatever the case, and Oscar, he'll throw probably like 100 punches and probably only have one connect, and the crowd go crazy, right? So it's, that's what it kind of felt like in that regard. It's just that he played it all the way through, and came in with the ball. The crowd went crazy, and the ref, he bought into that. At the end of the day, replay shows that guy was down by contact, and it was just really a disservice, to the Bills, really in that regard. And for Dean Blandino that sits over here in this little corner agreeing with that, I don't know. I feel that it should be some investigation going on with these referees because they clearly showed you who really controls the outcome of a football game. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's just a tough situation. Unfortunate situation because now a man that was here for 9 years and been the winningest coach in the past 7 seasons, hey, he's not here. He's not here in the city of Buffalo. That he fought his ass off for. I give him that. That a true Buffalonian man. He embraced his city. He ended a 17-year drought. He brought this program back gave it back a winning culture. It's just tough. You know what I mean? Because I thought this was one of his better coaching performances from a defensive perspective, doing more with less. But playoffs, it is what it is. Just in the words of Mr. Peter. So, I mean, it's just unfortunate. I just wish that he would have had a little bit more help offensively. But, it's a collective effort. That's why football is the greatest sport because it takes all 11, to get the job done, not just Superman. You know what I mean? Superman can't play defense too. So, it's a lot of things that goes into it.
All right. So you said a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
All of it was logical, but in my brain, all of it doesn't connect. Right. So you said you do feel like it's time for McDermott to go, right?
At this point, I mean, if not, when not? I think just because of the trend of it, how this coaching carousel is just like it's just a domino effect. Like it's I mean, when you got guys like Tomlin and Harbaugh who's been with these teams for over 15 years and they got Super Bowl championships and they're still coaching at a high level and they're let go of their duties, then that kind of sets a trend, with other owners to say, okay, it's 9 years here. How much time do your franchise quarterback got? Going through the same, scenarios, or we got to do better by your franchise, at this point. And there's been several coordinator changes. And, at the end of the day, the Bills still get the same result. Crucial mistakes at bad times. The players certainly didn't help by turning the ball over 5 times. It's hard to win, when you turning the ball over like that. You know what I mean? Especially, from your MVP with 2 interceptions and 2 fumbles. One wasn't, I don't say, well, he had 1 interception. I won't say he had 2. He had 1 interception. That one was just ridiculous. And then, obviously Denver being who they are, right? Number 1 seed, one of the top defenses in the NFL. They just capitalize off a lot of miscues by us. And, their defense were able to make plays, obviously, with the turnovers. There was a good hat on the ball, from James Cook, because that could have changed the dynamics of the game if the Bills go up there 14-3. That changes things early. That was a almost nail in the coffin early type of situation. Turner events, turnover happens and changes morale, right? So it's a lot of things, that went into that, but
All right, so
it was just time.
here we are. So I guess where my confusion lies, McDermott should go, but you also said you wish there was more talent on offense and that it can't just be Josh. And then you also said McDermott did more with less on defense.
Mm-hmm.
You also alluded to the 5 turnovers that helped to lose the game. And you also believe it was a catch, which essentially means you think the Bills should have won the game.
Yeah, because obviously put you in a scoring position and a field goal wins the game right there.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things that were out of Sean McDermott's control, and he was the one to pay the price. It's just like I don't understand that logic. Like, I get you need a change somewhere and whatever the case may be. I don't see why McDermott is the one that has to go.
Well, it's just not just that game, even though Mr. P said based on that game, it was
which is an insane statement.
It's a lot of things that come with that. When you look at one thing with the Bills, the consistent flaws that only comes from obviously a head coach, the final decision maker. When you can't get stops when the game is on the line in the postseason. That's been consistent throughout the postseason for the past 6 years. When you are 0-8 and 0-9 in overtime situations, that's consistent. When you blown 5 fourth quarter leads in the postseason in the past 6 years, that's consistent flaws. No matter who was coaching with you, who was on the team, those are coaching flaws. And it goes back to situational football. 16 seconds left, right before halftime. Why aren't we still trying to be aggressive there? Let's just kneel it down. Josh Allen just made a bad decision, fumbles the ball there, and you give up another 3. But, the crazy part about it, they overcame that. 27-23 with 2 minutes and 38 seconds to go in the game. 3rd and 11. Bills can't get a stop. Denver's number 1 wide receiver gets a big chunk play on 3rd and 11 when the game is on the line. And, those type of things are consistent, and why is that? You know, you blitz on first down, you blitz on second down, you call the dogs off on third down, and you know, you go back to what teams scout you on, and it's just, I don't know if at this point is he. It's just very questionable, you know, why that keep occurring.
So I don't presume to assume that McDermott is like a perfect coach by any means. I think there were a ton of frustrating moments that have happened over his tenure that have even made me call for his job. I think that this was the most insane way you could have possibly done it.
Right. I agree.
I think that okay.
It's just crazy how it happened.
There's a lot that goes into it because we talk about he did more with less. He's never really had a bona fide superstar on defense. I mean, he's had young up and coming talent that was promising for sure. He's never had a bona fide superstar on defense. He's never had like the one thing that would make a Sean McDermott defense elite, a bona fide superstar edge rusher. He's never even had us. I mean, 6 year, $10 million, 39-year-old Von Miller.
When are you going to change your style up a little bit then? Like,
but
when are you going to change that up? Like,
it just feels like he was put in all these positions where he had to figure out what to do with what he was given. And the swings on Von Miller and, Diggs, dad cap, and all these things putting the Bills in cap hell that aren't hit. I mean, we can assume that
say that because you can't say that because at the end of the day, if it comes down to a guy being re-signed, I'm going straight to the coach. Like, hey, all right, what are we doing? Are we investing in this guy over the next 3 years, coach? I'm quite sure Beane is just not re-signing these guys to re-sign them. Like,
but I don't think it's out of okay. So if he can't re-sign them, or if he has to re-sign them, it's because he didn't do a sufficient job at replacing them.
Well, their motto was draft, develop, and resign.
Right, but you couldn't get somebody to replace AJ Epinesa after 4 years.
You have Greg Rousseau. You have Boogie Bash.
Somebody should have.
You had Von Miller. You had
a horrible signing. I mean, and it looked good at the time. No, it didn't look good at the time. It looked good for the first season because he was good for the first season until he got injured. But the contract always looked very weird, and it ended up biting us in the ass anyway.
But that stuff don't get just signed off by Beane. You know what I mean? That gets signed off by everybody. Everybody has. I'm telling you. They get signed. If the coach don't want him, they're not going to sign him, bro. Like, you know what I mean? That just don't make no sense. Like,
then why wasn't McDermott in charge of the roster? Like, if you're just going to put all of it on McDermott, then why not just make him charge of the roster?
Because at the end of the day,
they literally put it all on McDermott.
He has the final say-so on the decisions that's being made on the field that provides the outcome of the games. The owner and the general manager don't call the plays. They don't design the plays. They don't create the depth.
But if you they don't dictate
who starts and who plays.
If you don't have the tools on the field, if you just don't have the dogs, what are you supposed to do?
Coach.
And that's why he's the winningest coach of the last 5 years.
Right.
Coaching.
We get that. But it's the same thing how they say about Josh Allen, right? In times. Josh Allen ain't got all the pieces around him, right?
He don't. He didn't.
Well, guess what? Coach McDermott don't need him. But that sometimes probably is to the fault of your own.
So is Josh Allen's fault he went into the season with Joshua Palmer as his number one receiver?
I mean, everybody is like going crazy over the number one receiver. Listen, this is what I'll be understanding about everybody that watch football. Khalil Shakur is the number one wide receiver for this team.
He can't get open in man. He's not a number one.
He's a slot to begin with. He's not an outside receiver.
He can't get open in man.
Hold on. He's the number one guy in the scheme. So outside receiver, I kept telling y'all this all season. It wasn't a wide receiver friendly offense. It never has been in the scheme. It never has been. If it was wide receiver friendly, Stephon Diggs probably would still be here. If it was wide receiver friendly. It's not a wide receiver friendly. It's a tight end slot oriented offense. And that only gets you so far. That only gets you so far when it comes to playoff time. Because
so an offense that's not wide receiver friendly means that you just don't have any wide receivers.
I like the 5 wide receivers they had out there on the field. I don't think that that's not a bad 5 wide receiver group, bro. You're just not using them correctly.
Not a single person could get open in man separation, and it's not a bad group.
Oh, really? So tell me this: Keon Coleman didn't get open 1-on-1 for a touchdown?
Not the majority of the season, no.
Did he or did he not? It was not no majority. It was.
Are you really going to go based off of one-offs in the whole season where we watched defenders glued to receivers?
In that game, in that situation, it was a 1-on-1 situation, right or wrong?
Say what? So what was the question?
When Keon Coleman scored his 10-yard touchdown pass, it was a 1-on-1 situation, right?
Okay.
You got the matchup you want, right?
Okay.
You didn't see that the rest of the game. Why that play's not being called the remainder of the game?
Because that was an anomaly. That was an anomaly.
Keep doing that.
No, it doesn't work when they do it.
Let me give you another one. Let me give you another one. I got James Cook, right? He gets the play action fake out of the backfield. Chunk play, 25 yards. Why not go back to that play? Like, why not go back to those plays?
You're talking about minor fixes on a bigger problem.
We're talking about winning this game. Because
right, exactly. Okay, you're talking about winning this game. I'm talking about if we went to the Super Bowl, we would have got smacked by any NFC team because we're just not a good enough team.
We're a good enough team.
We're a good enough team because we have Josh Allen. But that should not be the only reason we're a good enough team.
It all got to come together. Just haven't came together.
And
just ain't came together.
Let's get to the press conference.
Yeah, I'm just saying. At the end of the day, the Bills lost because they turned the ball over too damn much. They can't finish late. They had a critical overtime play that didn't really go their way, and Denver took advantage of it. It's just simple. That's just all it is. We ain't got time to talk about the whole year because at the end of the day, Josh Allen had so many different receivers throughout the course of the year. He couldn't get no type of rhythm with anybody.
Whose fault was that?
Coordinators. It's his job to coordinate. His job to coordinate.
Oh boy. They got to you. They got to you.
Wrong though. Like how you have an offense, you have.
You know what? That's fair. The coordinator was not good. The coordinator was not good. That's fair. I'll give you that.
I mean, no rhythm. You always start off slow with Josh Allen.
See, but hold on, but here's where it always comes back to the GM, is because you know your coordinator's garbage. You know you've watched 6-7 games of this dude not be able to get nobody open. Why would you not trade for somebody to help him out? The Seahawks had Jackson Smith and Jigba and traded for somebody. The Jaguars had Parker Washington, Trevor Hunter, BTJ, and they still traded for somebody.
That's not a scheme. Like, you'd have brought Jalen Waddle in here and he would have caught 2-3 targets.
He would have got open in man coverage. That's what would have happened. He would have got open in man coverage, and Josh would have had a receiver he could trust, and he wouldn't have dropped those passes that Brandon Cooks dropped. I don't care about the money.
I don't care. No.
Mookie, you the same person.
I don't care about it.
No, Mookie, you the same person 3 years ago that said Brandon Beane needs to go all in. Damn the money.
That wasn't the time to go all in.
This wasn't the time to go all in.
You don't have
when there's no Pat Lamar or Joe in the playoffs, this not the time to go all in.
You don't have the money.
Figure it out, bro. You can figure it out later. Win the Super Bowl.
Like, he's already under contract. Just
win the Super Bowl.
He just signed it.
Jacoby Myers didn't cost as much as Jalen Waddle. Rashid Shaheed didn't cost as much as Jalen Waddle. Could have got George Pickens in the offseason. It's excuses.
Well, I mean, again, it's a head coach too that probably don't want the locker room fit, man. Like, I mean,
All
we
right,
can
so
say
we're just
what we
putting
want to
everything on the
say.
head coach. Like,
We
why
can
not just
say
make him the
it
GM
goes
and the head
hand in
coach
hand.
then?
I mean, it's responsible on our parts. You
So
know,
you're just putting everything on the head coach. Why not just make him the GM and the head coach?
we ain't. Hey, he don't call the plays. He don't challenge the plays.
He
He
picks
don't
the.
call
So
the
wait, hold on.
defense.
So Sean McDermott calls the plays and picks the players.
Sean McDermott has some
So
saying.
what is Brandon Beane's job?
He has some saying that. And
Some say he's the general manager.
And there's some disagreements too.
Brandon Beane can pick up the phone and call whoever he wants to make a trade. Sean McDermott be damned. I don't like that's not an excuse.
But if they don't have the money to make the trade, you can talk about it all day
Jacoby
long.
Myers was affordable. Rashid Shaheed was affordable.
Yeah. He was definitely affordable. And pull the trigger. I don't know.
All right, let's get to the.
But those ain't major splashes to me. I mean,
it's somebody who can help your quarterback, man. Like you gave Josh Allen zero help. You gave him an old receiver who nobody wanted, who couldn't get his feet in bounds, who couldn't catch with his hands, couldn't fight for the football on the biggest play of the season. Like what?
They don't throw the ball downfield no matter who they got. Like Brandon Cooks forced them to do that. But that just
because they had no deep threats, which again was whose fault?
You ain't got no explosive plays.
Which again is whose fault?
The coordinator. Our most explosive play.
And when you realize your coordinator sucks, what would you think you would mitigate the risk of your coordinator sucking? Or you just say, you know what, finish the season, and when you inevitably fail because you simply don't have the pieces, I'm going to fire a coach.
It's just they got out coached a lot this year. You know what I mean? You got
I disagree. You
got young coordinators. They got out coached.
I don't. You know what? I'm not going to say that they might have got out coached a lot this year. I don't think Sean McDermott got out coached very much this year.
Well, I mean, you're going up against some good coaches, man. Like, and they got good staffs. That's the difference. Like, you know, it's just
agreed. That is
he don't have the right pieces around him as coordinator.
Agreed. That was his biggest flaw was picking guys.
You need some veteran guys. You got Holcomb that was there as an advisor, you know, but I think they need when you going up against Deshaun Payton and stuff like that, you know, they know your tendencies. And then when you're dealing with young offensive coordinators, they not used to veteran coaches' tendencies and not understanding what they like to do in certain situations, you know, but you're so predictable, you can't move the ball. I mean, just for instance, how many times, like analytically, if you look at how many times James Cook get the ball, he get the ball every time on first down.
Yep.
So Denver waiting on that, like
screens they was waiting on. They was sitting on the screens.
I mean, he's out there on second down, so he only get 2 plays because he's coming out on third down. He's never on the field on third down. He's coming off the field on third down. So if he don't get the ball on first down, he's gonna get it on second down.
Yeah, for sure.
So it was just too predictable. And for the Bills to win the games they won, we know it was that sometimes, majority of the times, I'm gonna say it was the talent and wasn't the coaching. And
on offense, yes.
In the playoffs,
it was the exact opposite on defense.
Yeah, the exact, and that's the hard part that everybody is dealing with now because they appreciate the way Coach McDermott was making adjustments in second half. We were just a second half team. He understood his team with dealing with all those injuries and stuff like that. And man, you know, that's why you be like, well, damn, he was coaching his ass off with his team defensively, but too much trust in what's done offensively and not having, I don't want to say have a pulse on it, but it seems like, you know, like a lot of decisions is like, well, damn, did the coach know that was hard?
So let me ask you a question real quick. Last year, they went into the season with Mac Hollins, Shakir, Samuel, right? It was solid. The pass game was okay. It wasn't great. It was okay. They realized we need an extra weapon. They go out and then get Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper didn't like go crazy, but he made a lot of clutch catches, right? He was very, very reliable hands. Okay. This year, they let Matt Collins go. They bring in Josh Palmer. They let Amari Cooper go. Amari Cooper was your number one. You knew that this team without a number one receiver didn't work last year. Why would you go back into this year when you already saw your OC couldn't do the job without a number one and without a number one? Is that on McDermott too?
Maybe he didn't want him to come back.
He didn't want McDermott to come back. That's what it was. It's too many unexplained stupid decisions.
It's bigger than Nino Brown, man. I mean, I don't know what I'm saying. It's a collective effort. It's just not like
why do nobody know nobody else's name from that movie?
Want those guys back. Like the coaches pound the table for those guys if they really want those guys back. So like that's all I'm saying.
Don't justify coming into this year without a wide receiver one.
But everybody eats. So no matter
that's terrible. That's bad. We know that don't work. And then he tell people to stop being about the wide receivers just to do nothing about it. Like, what are we doing?
Well, I mean, you know, he talked about that yesterday.
But he didn't. It still doesn't justify the lack of a move. Like we're just moving past it. Okay, he said it. He regrets it. All right, fine. That doesn't justify that you didn't do anything.
What do you want him to do? Get Wilder?
Get somebody. Do something. Get Josh something.
Got
Shaheed. He got McCall.
Shaheed didn't do nothing but return kicks, bro. He didn't catch no passes. He returned kicks.
He got McCall Hardman was the craziest response.
What you mean? Like McCall Hardman could have been in the special teams on Shaheed. Shaheed wasn't no receiver. He was a kick returner, punt returner. That's all he was. That's all he was. That's all he was, though.
All right, let's. I mean, Seattle also had a real number one receiver. But let's get to the press conference. So it started off with basically them saying that they fired the coach in Denver, based on the results in Denver. They talked about, you know, knowing this is a desirable job and that their phones are ringing. And Brandon Beane also mentioned that he remembered this group as a resilient bunch. So what that told me was major changes are coming to this roster. That this is not a very desirable job, because if you have to say that, that usually means you're lying. And then it also made me question the owner, because if you fired the coach based off of a game where you thought that it was a catch, that makes zero sense. So what was your takeaway from the just resilient bunch, knowing it's a desirable job, you know, in the results in Denver?
I would say more gritty than resilient. You know, this probably was the most team I've seen that had more grit than any Bills team in the McDermott era, because I mean, it was some games like, damn, they won the game. You know what I mean? I mean, they fought and they hung. I mean, 12-5 with that team. I mean, you know, hey, you gotta say the coaching was up to par. But in the postseason, where it really matters the most, you know what I mean? That's where it matters, bro. Like, make no mistake about it. 98-50 was Coach McDermott's record. 98-50. All right, the regular season isn't the problem. It's when it matters the most that's the problem. And those same flaws and tendencies always show in the playoffs.
I just want you to be aware right now. You're saying that he coached up a team to be 12-5, and that was a good coaching job, but you're saying that he didn't do a good enough job to beat the #1 seed in the playoffs. I just want you to know that's what you're saying right now.
I mean, based on the car, just, don't put it in the refs' hands. Like, it was an opportunity not to put it in the refs' hands too. You know what I mean? It's a lot of things. Like, it's a lot of things, but make no mistake about it, the officiating was horrible. Mims wasn't a catch.
Absolutely awful.
Mims wasn't a catch. Yeah, it was holding on Johnson in the end zone. It was holding on Cooks when he was in the end zone. It was just horrible officiating. For especially touchdown passes. That one to Mims, he did not complete the process of a catch. The ball bobbled when he hit the ground.
He sure did.
He paid it, but again, guess when that happened? Under 2 minutes in the game, where the call comes from upstairs. And the coach can't challenge it. You know what I mean? And that's how you know they control the ball game. At the end of the day, the referees control the outcome of the game. It's in the rules. It just showed you it's in the rules. For them not even to challenge that, he didn't complete the process of a catch. Y'all said that Cooks wasn't even down by contact. What are we doing? All right. So on top of all of that, to me, it boiled down to that 3rd and 11 right there. Because now, how many times has it been where it was a 3rd down situation? The only thing they got to do is just get them off the field. Game over. You're going to the Super Bowl. How many times that happened? So again, regular season and postseason are 2 different seasons. And how long this gonna keep occurring? You ain't gonna be able to keep this team together. Like how they've been together. This probably, man, Josh Allen is going into his 9th season, bro. His 9th season. So I believe the inexperience of the offensive coordinator has not been helpful in the postseason to this team. The defense is going to ball out, but it's the inexperience of the offensive play caller that don't get the job done in the postseason as it should be when you got a player like Josh Allen and James Cook on the roster. That's just how I see it. I mean, I believe that the receiving core is good enough to win their battles. They're just not schemed up properly. They're not put in the right positions properly. And then, you do the same play 50 times and then you don't do what worked 50 times. Like, it's just, I don't know. The offense wasn't very watchable. I mean, it was too predictable. And then you say, Josh Allen, don't take shots, right? We want you to avoid as much shots as possible. But 6 times a game, y'all shoving him into the defense on these tush pushes. You know what I mean? Y'all just here, like a sacrificial lamb, just slamming him into the defense and letting him take all types of shots. But you don't want him to, do it organically. So this is a lot of things that you doing to your quarterback, like, you shouldn't be doing. Like, just spread him out and let him pick his shot. Like, if you're going to do all of that, or hand the ball off to James Cook. I don't see him get stopped in the backfield too many times, and do a real RPO. Like, you got James Cook and Josh Allen. They should be yanking and pulling like crazy. So, it's just how what you do with the personnel you got. And I don't think that Brady maximized the talent that he had on the roster. You got bona fide 3 tight ends, bro. You know what I mean? So he got weapons. He just not. You got. Look, I put you got the top 5 line, top 5 running back room, top 5 quarterback, top 5 tight end room, top 5 tight end room.
Not with Kincaid injured half the season.
A trio of tight ends.
Not with Kincaid injured half the season.
They still up there as far as trio.
I mean, if you're talking about roster building wise, then yes.
I mean,
if you're talking about availability wise, then
no. I'm talking as a room as a whole. They got a top 5 tight end room.
Mm-hmm.
They do.
Mm-hmm. It wasn't available to them for the majority of this year, but yes, I agree.
Yeah. You gotta be able to do something with that. Like, and I think he just didn't maximize the talent, and the receivers really caught the flack for it. You know what I mean? It's your job to scheme guys open. So, in the words, Belichick was good at doing that, right? We're gonna take away your best player, make somebody else beat you, but you just can't let him do that. You gotta, okay, I'm gonna move him around, put him in the slot, and let him, do some drags, do some crossers. If he's taking two people on a crosser, we got some action over here. You know what I mean? It's chess, not checkers. But
Yeah, Joe Brady's a checkers player.
you
Absolutely.
allow them to just take away your best player and just go somewhere else because that's what they dictate, and you dictate the terms, not them. So again, I don't think he just really maximized the offensive talent that they really had. What reason, I do not know. But I mean, it's amazing that, they are able to score the points that they do score. Obviously, because of the 1-2 punch between Allen and Cook this year. I just feel that it wasn't maximized, and there wasn't too many explosive plays. James Cook is not even on the field when the game matters the most. You trying to come from behind to win the game, and James Cook is not on the football field. That's saying like he doesn't give you the best chance to win by not having him out there. You know what I mean? So
No, they took that third down running back thing to heart for sure. Like they're like, okay, you're not in on third downs at all, and it's insane.
they had Gore out there. No disrespect to Gore, but you ain't played.
And it's but that's not even. I don't even think Frank Gore Jr. would take that as disrespect. James Cook should be on the field. Like, what are we talking about?
Is that being for?
No, but I've gone on record. I've been saying since the middle of the season, Joe Brady should be fired. But if he's not, and you're the general manager, it's your job to still mitigate his failures.
That's not his job to fire us. That's the head coach job.
No. Is to make sure that your offensive coordinator, in his incapabilities, has something to work with.
He got the number one running back,
And he made him the number one
he ain't on
rusher
the
in the
field.
league.
I was like, what are you talking about? He's not on the field. That ain't a Beane problem.
No. Okay, never mind. That's a different issue.
Yeah.
All right, let's go back into the. All right, so he says that, or I'm sorry,
They
I
was
don't remember.
they was a resilient group. I said it was a gritty group, and we dove off into.
So somebody asked about the wide receiver room not being good enough this year, and apparently or allegedly, I guess, because I didn't hear the question, but they referenced Keon Coleman or something. I'm not really sure, but when asked the question about why the wide receiver room was not good enough this year, Brandon Beane was going to answer the question, and he was interrupted by Terry Pegula, who then said it was the coaching staff's decision to draft Keon Coleman, and that Brandon Beane has been taking the heat for it unnecessarily. How do you feel about that statement?
Tell y'all this. Mr. P's the owner. He can say what he wants. He can say what he wants. He's the owner of the team. He say what he wants. If you want to butt in Brandon Beane questions, he can do whatever he wants. But we all know that Brandon Beane took Keon Coleman, man. That's the owner just trying to protect his GM right there. We all know when Keon Coleman ran that 4.6, and he said, I like that he ran that 4.6. We all know that, that
The same thing he said with Gabe.
Keon Coleman, was going to be there when they needed to pick. That assured them that. BT was top on their list. When he got off the board, then they knew that Keon was going to be there. So that's just letting you know what I mean? Like, we know that guy's going to be there. And at a time where, they was looking for a red zone threat. Like, that was the biggest thing. The Bills at that point in time, in the Dorsey era, they can get 20 to 20 better than anybody in the league. But they just struggled in the red zone a lot, under Dorsey. When they got inside that 20, when a real coach begins, that's when the inexperience lies. And, you figure they was bringing Keon to be that red zone target. He is 6'4.5" with a 41-inch vertical, two sport athlete. They didn't accentuate the talent. You're trying to turn him into something that he's not, and just keep a player to their strong suits till they develop into the player they need to be. They got 4 or 5 years, so. I mean, it's deeper than that with the Keon Coleman situation. Obviously, they cite him coming to practice late and stuff like that. But when enough is enough. I mean, you punish the guy the entire season. Now if he was coming late still continuously, I'm quite sure they would have released him. But for him to be healthy scratches late in the season when you need a guy to start developing chemistry with your quarterback because the playoffs is about to begin, and he's healthy. He doesn't have any injuries. You got all types of injury problems right now on your receiving room, and here it is. Are you still punishing the guy because of what at this point? So like that enables you to have chemistry in especially crucial moments of a football game when your team needs you the most. You know what I mean? It's a lot of little stuff that goes into that. Like, so, but again, Keon Coleman still gets all types of blame for whatever reason. I don't know. We talked about him for 20 minutes in that presser yesterday. I didn't understand that, because that wasn't the reason why everybody was there today. You know what I mean? But it is what it is. So,
So they also,
at the end of the day, Keon Coleman is still on this roster, and there's going to be a new coach to see if they can continue developing him. And then, at this point, everybody's going to be evaluated because the new coach, you're not my guy. You know what I mean? Like, only person that's probably the new coach guy will be Josh Allen. You know what I mean?
James Cook. Yeah.
If it's Dable, then it's a different situation. He has a few guys in that locker room. So if it's him, but other than that, the new coach, I mean, you're not my guy. So everybody definitely is going to be evaluated.
So Brandon Beane later interjected himself, and he said that he also believed in Keon Coleman, and that orders might have been a little off between him and McDermott, but he ultimately did believe in Keon Coleman and did want that pick. And he said that the benchings was less to do with on-field productivity and had less to do with on-field productivity and more to do with maturity issues, and then he still believes he can develop. If you're Keon Coleman, like, do you even want to come back? Like, do you?
You under contract? You want to come back? Like, where you gonna go? Where you gonna go? Like, you already got this bad narrative about you. Like, who's gonna? He got 2 years. He's under contract. He just need to, learn from that and lock right back in for these 2 years. That's it. I mean, he's young, so what's done is done. He's still on the team, and it's going to be a new coaching staff, and we're going to see if it's him now. If the same issues remain with him with a new coach, obviously he's going to be gone. He's going to probably be traded, and that'll be the end of that. But right now, Keon Coleman is still on the roster.
All right. So for this next question, I'm going to take you through the events that happened. Right. Caught pass, caught an interception. 2 insane pass interference calls back to back that basically just gave Denver the win. So essentially three officiating calls that gives Denver the win back to back. Pegula enters the locker room after the loss. He sees his quarterback crying. He sees all the disheveled faces in the locker room, morbid locker room. He talks to Josh briefly, but doesn't really have a real dialogue with him. He then deliberates, decides to fire Sean McDermott without talking to anybody, really. Well, I'm not going to get into the rumors. And then he had a conversation with Josh Allen after he decided to fire Sean McDermott and promote Brandon Beane. He says that conversation with Josh Allen will stay private. I don't know if you want to speculate. What do you think Josh Allen is feeling right now?
He's not happy about it. I mean, how could you be happy about it with somebody that brought you here? Really, I mean, you know, use the franchise quarterback. You know, you have a bond with Josh Allen, and Coach McDermott have a bond better than anybody on the team. Like, you know, they have dinner or meet once a week. You know what I mean? Since they've been head coach and quarterback, so you know, it's just a tough situation right there. You know, when the business side, you know, meets, you know, and you have to part ways. You know, you develop those relationships. So I'm quite sure Josh is not feeling feeling good.
I mean, so the thing about this is that there's a lot of uncertainty at OBD right now. You don't really know who your coach is. Josh Allen will be heavily involved with the search as well as the transition of coaches. National media is on our head crazy right now. I mean, like we are a laughing stock of the league right now. Where does this leave the Buffalo Bills morale wise to open their new stadium next year? I mean, I know that there's a lot of things that can happen between now and then, right? You can get a great coach, you can get a great draft, you can have a great free agency, and then nobody remembers that Sean McDermott was fired 6 months ago, right? But we're not there yet. And it also can be adverse where you can get a coach that is not a public favor. You can have a draft that is not a public favor. You can have a free agency that is not a public favor. And then you have no, I mean, of course, it's a Bills fan, so you're going to have excitement going into next season. But the morale won't be top notch. I mean, where the Bills at right now?
I mean, you can't say that until the Bills bring in the head coach. That's the right now. That's the biggest thing on who's going to be the head coach in this new stadium. Right? I mean, do you make a splash? You know what I mean? To to put in the new stadium. Do you go and test the waters of a Belichick or somebody like that, or do you go the more safer route and bring in Dable? You know, a guy who's been here before, a guy who pretty much raised Josh and know how to protect him from himself and hold Josh accountable, and things of that nature. Or do
I'm
you
not. I'm not. I'm not gonna ask you to like reveal any of your sources or anything. What do you get the inkling is gonna happen?
Well, I just said the safest thing right now would probably be Dable. That'd be the safest thing. I mean, for the next 3 years at least. We don't know how long Josh Allen going to have a career, but in this era of quarterbacks, hell, they're playing 20 years now. They're playing into their 40s. So right now I say Josh at least got 10 more years left in him. Aaron Rodgers and those guys are still playing. To this day. So I'll say at least a 3 year. A guy that can do what. Bringing in Dable is a safer choice because, again, that's automatically approval by the fan base, right? Because he's from Buffalo. Two.
Well, hold on. Whoa. I don't know if that previous statement is true.
What?
That he's automatic approval by the city of Buffalo. I don't think that that's true.
I mean, when you look at the candidates, I mean, what you gonna get a Belichick? You get Dave
and Marumo, Clint Kubiak. I mean, there's options.
It's going to be
there's college coaches, the Indiana coach, the Notre Dame coach.
It's going to be an offensive-minded guy. You better believe that. I don't know why we still thinking about defense. It's going to be an offensive. Josh need an offensive-minded guy.
Yeah, but they said the CEO job. That's what kind of took my mind away from there. The CEO job portion of that conference.
Lou Amaruno ain't a CEO, right? Over than Dable. Dable's been a head coach before, so he knows how to be a head coach. Like he's been the head coach. You know what I mean? Like he has head coach experience. So
Coached 2 seasons, and one of them was horrible. 3 seasons, 2 of them was horrible.
You got the experience, bro. You got the experience. You got so who would you have? I mean, okay, you go get Belichick, get his contract bought out, whatever the case. We know that he's going to win in the postseason.
Listen, if
he
you
knows
ask
how
it,
to win. But the
my
safest
my,
pick,
my biggest problem is that you fired Sean McDermott so emotionally and so just uncouth like, and then your top head coaching candidates are coaches that are not better than Sean McDermott. Like, it blows my mind. I don't understand that logic.
well, that's what we're gonna see if it can be. that's just the bottom line.
You know what? I could see Dayball working, because if nothing else, Dayball's going to put the ball in the air, right? Aaron Cromer retiring really hurts. Because Joe Brady was just the Aaron Cromer merchant. He was just the Aaron Cromer merchant. He didn't scheme any insane runs. It wasn't like this was the most creative stuff they ever saw in their life. He ran the same play 22 times in the game. He wasn't like super creative or anything like that. He just had an amazing running back, a good offensive line, and an amazing offensive line coach.
Right.
That's all he had. He couldn't scheme wide receivers, couldn't scheme the run game. He just had an offensive line coach and the best player in the world. That's all it was. So
that talent.
Right. And our offensive line sucked under Dayball and Dorsey when, well, it was good under Dayball before Cromer left.
There was a different scheme.
First, right, but my point is, I know Dayball's going to put the ball in the air. I know Dayball is going to get Josh real weapons to throw the ball to, and you know how to utilize them. At the very least, I know that much. If Dayball can bring in a good enough defensive coordinator to be able to lock things down, I could see how this could be successful, only because Sean McDermott was that half of locking things down on the defense for the most part. He locked things down as much as you should when you have the best player in the world. But the only side is, on the other side, we never had the offensive mind to be able to take Josh and the weapons to the next level.
But your offense is scoring 30 points. You can't give up 30 points.
I think that if Josh Allen offense should be able to come away with more.
They always did that, bro. They
always
a lot of points defensively.
I also know that they don't have the defensive talent to just be able to go up against the Kansas City Chiefs in the defensive and in the conference championship games and be like, oh yeah, let's just go, let me put Balen Spector on Travis Kelce. Let me put Kyer Elam on whoever. Like, I'm not gonna put that on him. I'm sorry, I can't do that.
You got to.
I can't. No, I'm sorry. If you don't got the dogs, you don't got the dogs. And not only that, but he lost to a man who was in a. I'm getting back on it. I mean, they're the dynasty. They're calling this man the GOAT, and it's the only this what it is.
That's the nature of the business at this point. I mean, for 9 seasons.
Oh man!
Sometimes it just runs its course. I mean, it's deeper than what we know on why Coach McDermott was just so fired, so just really drastically. I mean, it wasn't even 48 hours. I'm like, whoa. I mean, a lot of people was calling for it. They've been calling for it all season. I was saying that he ain't gonna get fired for those reasons alone. For those reasons alone, he's won every year. I don't see them getting rid of that sustained success. You know what I mean? Giving break, doing the injuries and stuff like that. But it may be deeper than what everybody knows, and that's what they're going with. Maybe it was Super Bowl or bust. I mean, I even said that in the beginning of the year. It's Super Bowl or bust. If he gets to the Super Bowl, I think that's enough to keep things going. But if he don't, it's 50-50, and that part of the 50 is saying that it's time for a change.
How do you feel about the handling of the not only just the firing of it, so emotionally or whatever the case may be, but just like the lack of saying thank you, the video taking 3 days, like all that, just where the fans felt like McDermott was not showing the proper respect.
Well, stuff like that takes time to make and create too. You know what I mean? So, you know, yeah,
Does it take that much time to write a thank you note and then not have something misspelled?
well, you gotta understand. Maybe nobody knew. It's like I said, Terry Pegula woke up and fired him and didn't tell nobody. He just did it. So,
No, but I know, but the thank you to Sean McDermott came days after, and then they had something misspelled in it, so it was just like a slap in the face.
I'm not looking into all of that. Like, you know, at the end of the day, he's not here. You know, I'm not looking at, you know, that part of it. I mean, at the end of the day, he's not here. So I'm not looking at a graphic and saying that, oh, they're, you know, they're classless or whatever. I'm not.
I mean, that's fair.
That's
I,
too petty.
I
That's way too petty.
I don't know, man. I think that being able to look at your football team and saying, "Hey, show enough respect to the guy that changed the
I mean,
course and
it's time
trajectory
it's
of your
happened.
team."
It's the first time
And
it's
well, but hold on, but it's not only just that though. Like it's not only just the way that they treated the whole thing after McDermott was fired and not getting the video out until 3 days later, not getting a thank you, and then spelling admirable wrong and kind of diminishing what he accomplished here. But also just like I feel like calling out Keon Coleman like that in a press conference was insane.
Who did that?
Terry Pegula.
Somebody had to ask a question for him to even say that.
Okay, so the question was why, why do you feel about the wide receiver room not being good enough? What I was told later was that there was a part in the question cut off where the dude referenced Keon Coleman. I didn't hear that part, but I heard him say, why wasn't the wide receiver room good enough? Brandon Beane was about to answer the question, and then Terry Pegula interjected and said that Keon Coleman was Sean McDermott, the coaching staff's pick. So I mean, it's a bad look for the franchise to me, or to most people. I feel like I've heard a lot of people say that.
That don't change nothing.
Okay.
Change nothing.
You don't think that changes the
Like,
attractiveness of the job, or
say what? Like we still going to Bills games. Like, you know, like that don't change anything. Like, you know, that's just I think Terry at that point just trying to, you know, protect Brandon Beane where he really didn't have to. You know what I mean? Because everybody knew that Brandon Beane was high on Keon Coleman. So, um, you know, he can say what he wants. He's the owner of the team. He can say what he wants. So that's why I see about that. Everybody know that that was a Brandon Beane pick. You know, and hey, the owner don't have a problem with it. You know, he don't have a problem with it. He's on the team. He's the owner of the team, so he can easily say, "I want Keon gone," and guess what? Keon would be gone, right? Keon is not gone after all the flack and all the blame everybody want to say about Keon Coleman. Keon Coleman is still on the team.
fair enough.
Still on the team. So what's that saying?
They haven't had enough time to trade him.
They have enough trading. Best believe it'll be teams that will be waiting, you know, to trade if it's right. So, you know, there's teams.
All right.
Sure, the Bills know that. That you know, you
I
just can't
mean,
give up. You just can't give up on a guy. You know, you just can't give up on a guy too soon like that.
I
You know,
don't think giving up on him was the issue. I don't think that we should give up on him. I think that calling him out is insane.
yeah. I got to go back and see how that even came about. I think somebody asked about that, and that was like kind of like the bulk of the whole ordeal. Instead of asking about, we should be talking about moving forward. We shouldn't be talking about, stuff with Keon Coleman. in the exit press conference over, you got a new coach coming, you got a new coach you just got rid of. Like, that should have been pretty much the topic of, that presser, but I mean, damn. I mean, yeah, they want Brandon Beane gone, they want Sean McDermott gone, they want Keon gone.
So here's another thing I learned from the press conference. I'm so glad that Brandon Beane's not fired, because I would have been petrified if Terry Pegula had to pick a new GM. If one or the other had to go, I would have preferred Beane to go over McDermott. But I do think that Beane is at least somewhat competent in a way that I don't think Terry Pegula would have been able to find someone, to do the job correctly.
I'm calling a place.
All right. So last thing before we get up out of here, Brandon Beane. I'm sorry, not Brandon Beane. Brandon Cooks. Buffalo Bills wide receiver Brandon Cooks went on Good Morning Football. I feel like I'm the only one that watched this season happen. Like, I'm the only one that saw how terrible he was this season. Everybody's like, "Oh, he cried, and I hope he's coming back next season." I don't want him back next season. He couldn't even catch the ball. He couldn't keep his feet in. It was terrible. He went on Good Morning Football, and he said he felt like he let Josh Allen down. He felt like he does not want to end his career on that note, so he will be coming back, or he will be playing football still. So I ask you, sir, do you think he let Josh Allen down? And B, would you like to have Brandon Cooks back on this roster next
year? I think he should have fought more for that catch.
At least a little bit.
But when you look at it, his posture kind of, let the ref believe that he had it. But
his demeanor.
When you look at it, the guy, he fell on top of him, so he probably knocked the wind out of him.
Oh, that's true. I didn't think about that.
He fell directly on top. You were standing up, already on the ground. You still on your 2 feet, and I just thought that was crazy. But he could at least fought for more. But if it was reviewed properly, they would have realized that he was down by contact, 1st and 10, Buffalo. And Bills would have went on ahead and, won that game. And, Coach McDermott could, got another week to, to stay in the play-in, to play for a Super Bowl life. He was 1 game away on really, sticking around, I guess, because, like I said before, Super Bowl or bust. If he made it to the Super Bowl, you can't get rid of him. You just can't. Even if they lose the Super Bowl, there's no way you get rid of a guy that lost the Super Bowl. I don't know if somebody lost their job after losing the Super Bowl. Is that a question? Like, can you research that? Is there anybody that lost the Super Bowl, lost their job, got fired? I don't know. So that's why I say it was Super Bowl or bust. He was 1 game away from it. I mean, it was an ebbs and flow of a game. It was it was a lot of drama in that game. A lot of turnovers, lots of ups and downs, a lot of bad play calling, a lot of bad officiating, bad decision making, and a little home cooking. So it's just tough. It's just tough. I mean, the exciting part, I guess, is going to be a new coaching staff, and not sure what, the offense or the defense is going to look like, but I know they're going to be more aggressive. I don't think these Bills teams were aggressive enough, like even on both sides, offense or defensively. They were more of a passive aggressive team, than in years past.
George Seifert was the only one that came close. He lost the Super Bowl in 2003 with the Panthers and was fired after the 2004 season after a 7-9 record.
Yeah, but never after the Super Bowl.
After the Super Bowl, no.
Right. You live to fight another day when you get to the Super Bowl. That's why it was Super Bowl or bust. If he would have made it to the Super Bowl, it would have been impossible for the Bills to move him, because, I mean, he made it, right? But, then, all that stuff that we talked about plays in his favor, like the injuries and things of that nature, right? All that stuff plays in his favor when you make it to a Super Bowl. But, they was one game away, and hey, you heard what Mr. P said. It is what it is. Like, it's just enough. I think,
Whoa,
personally,
whoa, 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 whoa,
it
whoa,
is
whoa,
what it
whoa, whoa,
is.
whoa, whoa. No, 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 no. I just thought of something.
Well,
I can't believe I forgot this. You asked him a question about this exact thing. And he couldn't even answer your question.
right. He couldn't.
You said, what's more important between coaching and roster building? And he said he doesn't know. And he also said that he doesn't even know if he made the right decision.
He's the owner.
Does that
He can
justify
say
it?
whatever he wants. He can say
Oh, we're screwed. Oh my God.
whatever he want to say.
Oh, we're so screwed. Oh my God.
He can say whatever he want to say. He didn't have to sit up there at that press conference.
No, that was a fantastic question, by the way. I knew he was gonna do that. I knew he was gonna do something like that. That was a fantastic question. So props to you for that. Oh man. Emotional week, for sure. Timbers are high. A lot of disagreement, a lot of decisiveness amongst the mafia, but mafia means family.
It's
So
tough. It's tough because we've been used to seeing something for 9 years, man. Something of man greatness. Very appreciative. I mean, Coach McDermott made Sundays and fun to watch. So they was on Monday nights and Thursday nights and Sunday nights. And,
yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, so he created all of that stuff. So I couldn't be more appreciative enough, to see how he was able to, restore the winning culture back in, Buffalo. So, a lot of things going to be missed. He was very in the community, very visible in the community, in the hood too. You got to say all of that, but yeah, I just appreciate the human being that Coach McDermott is, and I know he's going to be. I mean, he may be coaching again this year, but
I hope not, but probably.
I think he's going to be like similar to Andy Reid, like early in your career, you fall short. You show so much promise. You almost get there, and you just can't get over the hump. But, in your second stint, a la Kansas City, he's one of the best coaches in it. So, I'm quite sure he's going to learn from all of this stuff, and it's going to make him a better coach. And he'll definitely get an opportunity to get to a Super Bowl. I'm quite sure he'll get there, before his career is over with. He's definitely of a caliber.
Yeah, I'm scared that he's gonna go to Cleveland. He's gonna have Myles Garrett, and then he's gonna draft another edge. It's gonna be wicked. Oh God, it's gonna be wicked. Oh God,
you got Jim Schwartz.
If he get a good offensive coordinator, oh my God.
Jim Schwartz is still there. They're not getting rid of him.
So
that's two different types of defenses. They won't bring McDermott into Cleveland. Schwartz. I wouldn't mind Schwartz coming back here if they like.
I wouldn't mind Schwartz coming back here neither. But you think they're going to keep Jim Schwartz over Sean McDermott?
Huh?
You think they're going to keep Jim Schwartz over Sean McDermott?
Yeah, the defense ain't the problem in Cleveland.
No, I don't think it is. But I think it's the CEO job issue.
Right,
is the problem.
The defense ain't the problem. Get you an offensive-minded head coach.
Well, who says the offensive-minded head coach wants to have that defensive coordinator?
Leave the defense alone. Somebody that could, hey, get the ball going and generate some offense, man. Like that was a little toxic in Cleveland. That was just too toxic with the whole.
I feel like that's dependent on if the defensive coordinator wants to coach with that new head coach, and if the head coach even wants him as defensive coordinator.
They retained him. He's still under contract.
Oh, I see. Okay, I got you.
Okay, yeah, he's still under contract.
I didn't know they retained him. Okay.
Yeah, like when you fire the head coach, that don't mean everybody, got to go.
I know most of the time the coaching staff goes somewhere else.
True. Unless the coach, the front office say, "Hey, we are looking for."
Well, if you got Jim Schwartz, that's about as good of a coordinator as you can do that with. Whereas, we don't want the head coach anymore. You stay your ass where you at.
That's why they should have did that the first time in Buffalo.
With Schwartz, I agree.
Frank Wright probably wasn't the offensive coordinator back then.
Yeah,
And he would have been on the defense.
that would have been Rex Ryan with Jim Schwartz would have been.
No, hell no. I don't know. I ain't dealing with Rex Ryan. 3-4.
Anyway, I just want to say, as someone who was born in 1995, my earliest memory of football was the Mississippi Miracle, and that led into just years and years and years and years, decades even of failure. As in my sports fandom, I became a LeBron James fan. Just like, we don't have a basketball team, so it's like, all right, at least I can watch the greatest player on the planet and have like some success in my sports fandom. And everything changed when Sean McDermott came. Right, he took Tyrod Taylor, and it broke the drought. You had a down season with your quarterback the next year, and then you never missed a beat again. And I can say again, as a 31-year-old man who hadn't seen much success before Sean McDermott came along, I, from the bottom of my heart, Justus General, would like to thank Sean McDermott for everything he's done for the team, the franchise, the community. It really does suck that things happen this way. And I'm not even necessarily against Sean McDermott, quote unquote, being fired. I think that if he was going to do it, he should clean house. But, watching the press conference made me glad that they didn't do that. So it really just is a sucky situation.
It would be if you had no head coach or general manager and you got a combine coming up in 3 weeks.
I mean, that's what some people go through, though. Well, not really, because you don't really usually fire your coach after the divisional round.
There ain't nobody fired their coach and general manager before the combine.
Not because you don't usually fire them after the divisional round of the playoffs. Usually, if you have a team that makes it there, you're retaining them. People fire the head coach and GM all the time.
Not together.
Yeah, they do. They might not fire them at the same exact time, but a lot of times they fire both of them in the same season. Yeah.
That's too close to the combine. Who is he going to have to put all this stuff? The general manager is a tedious ass job. Like, it's a lot, Who you gonna find to do that in a short period of time? The assistant general managers, you gonna allow them, like the assistant general managers, they're gonna have carte blanche now to pick and choose who to bring in here? Okay.
I mean, Terry Pegula referenced every single assistant general manager when saying that Brandon Beane brought up people.
This is his evaluation now. Now, okay. Basically, Pegula, you chose, right? You chose the general manager over the head coach. So now, general manager, you better fix this, or you got a small window to fix it.
No, he don't. He said he don't.
Okay.
He said he don't. I mean, that's what Terry Pegula said. He said it's not Super Bowl or bust anymore.
All right.
I guess we'll find out.
Super Bowl or bust with the next head coach, but not the GM. Remember?
Oh, fair. That's fair. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys for tuning in. Like I said, emotional week. Big shout out to Sean McDermott. Hey, I mean, we ain't got no choice now. Big shout out to Brandon Beane. He the dog now. Hey, we gotta rely on him to bring us our Super Bowl and just our overall general happiness on Sundays when we watch Bills football. So it'll be interesting. But for the legend in 3 games, Coach Muki Hawkins, I am Justus General, and you are watching Bills World. We are out. Go Bills.
Big ball.